The self-help gurus got me. I've been wanting to tell this story for a while, but honestly, it's a little embarrassing. Embarrassing for me, you know, because it's sort of out of character. There was a time I would sort of laugh at those guys, you know, the Wes Watsons of the world and Bedros and all them. I'd be like, look at these nerds, bro. What? But I don't know. I don't know if it's becoming a dad, getting older, approaching 40, and just wanting to do better, be the best man you can, and self-doubt starts to creep in, and you start seeing these reels and posts about, oh, be a better man, become the man you want to be in respect, and you know, all these cliche and cringy to me now sayings and videos, and I don't know, I think just seeing that all the time gets like embedded in your psyche and plants this seed of self-doubt, like, and it exploits your self-doubt, and all of a sudden the algorithm starts showing you more and more of that. Before you know it, like, you're like, man, maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I could be doing more, maybe I could be a better dad, which, you know, self-reflection is not a bad thing, but it completely changed everything in my life, you know. And I wouldn't say for the worse, but it was just different, sort of not who I was, and completely changed. I stopped drinking for almost a year. I didn't drink a drop. And if anybody who knows me, I love beers, man. I love to kick back and work on something and have some beers, work in the yard, have some beers, and yeah, like I know and accept the risks of drinking those beers. But you start seeing this stuff all the time and you're like, okay, could I do better without the beers? And before you know it, I wasn't drinking, getting up every day at like 4:15 in the morning, going for a 5 or 6 mile run, then working out. I would journal every morning, gratitude journal. It was like I went off the deep end. I was watching everything I ate. And like I said, these aren't necessarily bad things, but they were, because they were to that extreme. It completely changed my personality and who I was, you know. But like, that was the whole premise, is, oh, you need to change who you are, you can be who you want to become, and all this stuff. And it's just like, as time went on, you know, I'm 9-10 months in, I'm like, dude, the whole reason I did this was to better my life, be a better dad, be a better business owner, make more money. And none of those things were happening. You know, yeah, I got pretty ripped, I got pretty cut for me, but it was like, what's the point of that? Like, if that's the only positive outcome for me, it's not worth it. You know, it's like, it's just vanity at that point. I want other dudes to look at me and be like, he's ripped, or I'm married with 3 kids. I want women looking at me, oh, he's ripped. Nah, like, that doesn't matter to me. So got to the point where, like, I'm not any richer. I'm not getting any more loving, because I already, you know, I'm already maxed out on that. I'm married and I'm a lucky man. So it's like, there was no benefit. Yeah, I was fit. Yeah, I was ripped. But the whole reason I did it was to be a better dad, make more money, be a better business person. And none of those things were happening. Like, I was already good at those things, but I had this doubt of, could I be better? It was eating at me. Could I be better? Could I be better? And I just couldn't help but feel like I was duped, like I was tricked. You know, I never paid any money to these people for coaching, but I completely changed who I was. And it was weird. It alienated me. I stopped talking to the people I'd normally talk to, people I'd have beers with. I started to become so self-important, you know? It felt weird, honestly, especially for me. Like, I felt like I was better than everybody because I was doing these things, and like, what the hell is that? What was that about? You know, and I look back and I cringe at it. I'm like, damn, that was cringy. I was even making posts and doing stories of me working out and running and stuff, and it's like, what the hell? You know, I look at those people now and I'm like, dude, this is so cringy. And maybe it's cringy because I went through it and I feel like I was tricked and duped and got sucked down that rabbit hole of self-improvement. I probably read 25, 30 books in 1 year of these self-help books. You know, every big name you've ever heard of, every big title you've heard of, I probably read it. And it turned out like they're all saying pretty much the same thing. And oddly enough, ironically enough, it led me to reading the Bible, and they're pretty much ripping off all the lessons from the Bible in these books. You know, it's things people have been saying for thousands of years. You know, all the Stoic philosophers and the Bible and all that. People have been saying these things for so long, and they're just paraphrasing it or using the concepts. And I was like, what? You start to realize people are just doing this to make money. You know, they're making you feel like you're not enough and you need to do more and could be doing more. So you'll buy their book, so you'll buy their course, so you'll keep watching their content. I don't know, it really, I guess maybe I just opened my eyes to it after a while, but it just really got to like this gross feeling of like, what am I doing, man? This is not me, this is not who I am. I'd rather have a beer, smoke a doobie and make some art, you know what I'm saying? Make some videos and talk to people and hang out with people. But it's like I wasn't doing those things. And yeah, it led to some positive things. Should, you moderate your drinking? Absolutely. That it taught me I could do that. The journaling was a great thing. I really enjoyed that. The gratitude journaling, I think that really does help mentally to stay a little more positive and stuff. But as far as like the 4 a.m. workouts, I'm not really a morning person like that. And going for runs every morning. I was off my rocker. I was nearing 1,500 miles in 1 year. I was like, I like to be in shape. I was a baseball player. I went to college and played baseball for 4 years, and I took it serious. There was a time I thought I was going to go pro. So I know what training is. I know what working out is. It's not like I'm new to that. But it's just not who I am. Like I'm not going to do all that just so I can be ripped. You know what I mean? That's not... Yeah, I'd rather drink beers and make art and casually lift weights and stretch and run and stay in somewhat of shape that I could still play with my kids and do the things I need to do, try to be able-bodied into my later years. But as far as being like a health fitness influencer, hell nah, bro. That's so cringy to me, especially like these 40, 50-year-old guys who are on TRT and roided out and if you're not first, you're last. That shit, that's cringy. And like I said, nothing against these people. Like, that's what they're into and that's what they love. But I think some people are just doing it to make money and exploiting people's self-doubt and all that. Whether you feel bad about how you look, your body, your physique, if you feel bad about how much money you're making, if you feel bad about if you're a bad dad or husband. Like I said, when you become a dad, it's like, it was different for me. There was a time I'd be like, these dudes are such a joke, But it's like that self-doubt starts to creep in, and it's weird. I feel like I got duped, and I can't believe I fell for that whole thing. But also, it was a learning lesson, There was always this doubt of, could I do better? If I stopped drinking, would I be better? And I did all those things. I quit drinking, worked out every single day, watched my diet. So now I know it's not holding me back as much as I thought. They made it seem like your whole life's gonna change if you drop your vices and do this and do that. None of those things happen. So now I know that for a fact. I'll never doubt that again. So that's a positive thing. I still like to run. I still like to journal sometimes. I like to write and make videos, and so a lot of good came from it, but it was definitely a learning lesson, So I think my advice from what I learned from that is you got to find something that is you and works for you, because it's just gonna fail. You're gonna come to the end and be like, the jig is up on this. This isn't what I thought it was. This ain't me. But maybe you can take something away from it. Just don't be so cringy like I was posting all this self-help and inspiration content. But there's people who would message me and be like, dude, this is inspiring, and that's all good. I think that's positive, but it never felt authentic or genuine, because I felt like I was forcing myself to do all these things. And yeah, discipline is great. Being able to be disciplined is good. But I think there's a fine line between enjoying your life, being disciplined. It's a short time on this planet, dude. And I think you realize that too, is watching my kids grow up so fast, and time feels so limited that you're like, bro, is this what I want to spend my time doing? I was missing mornings with my kids because I'm out for a run and lifting weights, and I was tired because I was getting up so early, and I'm like, bro, this ain't worth it to me. But I think it probably took doing that to realize that. And now I know. And I appreciate you listening to my ramble if you've made it this far. But I wanted to get this off my chest. Wasn't sure how I was gonna do it. I don't like to script anything. I just wanna shoot from the hip, from the heart. And it may be rambling and jumbled, but maybe you'll get something out of it, I hope. Until next time, I'll see y'all in my next video. Forgot to show y'all the hoopty. Oh, whoa, he's riding. Built this a few years ago. Me and the homie Rick, he owns the bike shop in town. I love it. Cruiser, baby.